without further ado, we're gonna start with Gregory Pavidis. He's the DA, is from the DA Brooklyn office.
First of all, thank you very much for having me today. I want to say before I get into some of the scams and cons that we are seeing, if you or someone you know has fallen victim to one of these, I have seen it all too often that people, they feel, how could I be so foolish? They're embarrassed, they don't come forward. The reason people fall for it is because the people who are perpetrating these crimes are professionals. This is what they do for a living. They are good at it. It's not that you were foolish, it's that they are really good at what they do. So don't be afraid to come forward, don't be embarrassed. And as I go through this, I'm going to tell you some people close to me who I consider to be some of the smartest people I know who have fallen for these types of scams. So again, don't be afraid to report it. Two of the areas I'm going to cover are the phone scams. And I know now that we're phone scams and the internet scams. And I know now that we're at home because of the pandemic, which hopefully we will start getting a little more freedom in the near future. But being home, I bet you've noticed an uptick on the number of calls you get, random calls from random people. Generally speaking, if you're getting an unsolicited call from a business, from a government agency, or if you're getting an unsolicited email from a organization, assume it's fraudulent. Again, as I go through this, you'll see a common theme and you'll see a common way to protect yourself. So one of the things we see a lot, and we're even seeing a lot of it now, is what we call the jail bail scam. The caller calls up and they pretend to be either a bail bondsman from the court system, a law enforcement officer, and they tell the person, your grandchild has been arrested. And usually the way they do this, because no one wants to believe that their grandkid or their kid is bad or would do anything wrong, is they would phrase it in such a way that it wasn't their fault. Oh, they may have had one too many drinks, or they were in a car with the wrong bunch of people and one of the people had drugs, but they had to arrest everybody. So they phrase it in such a way to make it more believable to the person. Sometimes they'll even have someone in the background pretending to be the grandkid making noise. And I've even heard of times where they put them on the phone. And I know what everyone's thinking, well, I would recognize my grandchild's voice. And inevitably what happens is when they start talking and it's questioned, well, I've been crying all night, this is really stressful, whatever the excuse may be. What I should add here is they actually make this so realistic because one of the things they may do before calling you is they do their homework, they do some research. They may get on your Facebook account if you have one. They may see your grandkid's name is Billy, that he recently went to California on a trip. And all of these things will play into it. Oh, he's in California, he was arrested, we need bail money out here. Billy, is very upset. Oh, they know my grandkid's name, this must be true. So be aware that even if they're coming at you with a lot of information that you think no one should rightfully have, they may have gotten that through illegitimate means. What they always say is, you have to act quickly. We need money now in order to get your grandkid out of jail. And they will ask for it in odd ways. We need a gift card. You need to wire the money Western Union. If you just give me your check number or checking account information over the phone, we can take care of this. But it's got to be done quickly. A similar one, which I actually find even scarier, is your grandchild was in an accident or was injured in some way. And it appears as if the call's coming from a hospital or an emergency responder, a police officer, a fireman, an EMT. And what I should add here is oftentimes when you're getting these phone calls on your phone itself, it will say bail bonds company or courthouse or detectives, police precinct, or in this case, particular hospital. It's what's called a spoof. There's a way that you could change a phone number when making a call to make it appear as if the call is coming from any number you want. It has legitimate uses, such as a defense attorney who doesn't want a client to have his home phone number, so he puts in their office number when calling from home. Great for practical jokes. If you want to call someone pretending you're Joe Biden from the White House, you can put in the White House's phone number, but the bad guys use it to their own end. They use it to fool you. So your phone rings, you get a hospital or a first responder, and your grandchild was in a terrible accident. Again, they've been on your Facebook page and they've been on his Facebook or her Facebook page, and they see they went to Jamaica on vacation or wherever they may have gone, and they will play it up that in this country, we can't give medical care until we get the money up front. We need it up front, or your child, grandchild is in grave danger. And again, what is it? Act quickly. We need you to act. Don't take time to think, act. And again, the money is going to be something really strange. I don't know many hospitals that accept gift cards. Western Union, used to be Apple iTunes cards. I don't think they exist anymore, but in any event, it's going to be some strange way of sending the money to the hospital, and it's going to have to be done quickly. Another scam you're going to see and is the IRS or government scam. And this is, it used to be mainly the IRS scam, but it could be more than that. And again, your phone may read Internal Revenue Service or, a local tax office. They will call up and say they're an IRS agent. And let me stop and tell you, this one happened to my mother. My mother got the call and she was told, you have not paid your taxes properly. You owe us $20,000 and there is an arrest warrant out for your arrest, and you are going to be arrested by the end of the day if you don't immediately send us that $20,000. So I got the call from my panicked mother saying, what should I do? And of course, I, being a jokester, said, just go peacefully. It won't be a problem. We'll bail you out later on. And then I explained, it's a scam, Mom. The IRS barely can audit your taxes. They're not going to be calling you to tell you they're going to arrest you. And if you think about it, when's the last time any of us has ever gotten a call from the IRS? Never, because they don't call people. If you were delinquent in taxes, you were going to get something in the mail. If you committed a crime criminally and didn't pay your taxes, they're not going to give you a heads up. You're going to get a knock at your door with handcuffs. So it's a scam. And again, just like the other scam, how does the IRS collect money? Well, we need a gift card. The IRS doesn't take gift cards, Western Union, and it's got to be done immediately. So you're seeing a pattern with all of these phone scams. I will point out that now it's gone beyond that. I recently got a call from the Social Security Administration claiming that my Social Security number had been suspended. There have been calls saying there's a tax refund due to you or some sort of loan due to the coronavirus relief fund that you can now get, or we have stimulus checks, we can help you get it quicker or get more. These calls come in, and again, it looks like on your phone that is coming from a legitimate source. In order to help you, they're just going to need a few things, such as full name, Social Security number, mother's maiden name, perhaps. And what they're doing is they're stealing your identity. They're trying to get as much info about you so that they can then go out and apply for a loan or a credit card or take out a mortgage on your home without you knowing it, whatever it may be. Sometimes they'll actually ask you for banking information so they can send the money to your bank. Why are they doing this? They're doing this because they want to get into your bank account and take money out, not put money in. And again, oftentimes they'll make you feel like, well, we need to verify it's really you. How do we know who we're dealing with? That's why we need your name and your Social Security number and all of that. So again, the government doesn't call you. The IRS doesn't call you. These are telltale signs of scams. If you're getting a call from an agency or an organization that has not reached out for you for the X number of years you've been alive, it's a scam. I can almost guarantee that. And if it's not a scam and you hang up on them, you can blame me. I'm happy to take the blame there. Better safe than sorry. So what do you want to do? If you get a call about your grandkid, give them a call. Give their parents a call. Say, hey, I heard Billy was arrested. Is this true? No, he's right here. No, that's not true. So reach out to them first. I know they're going to say you have to act quickly. You don't have time. Do it. And if you don't get an answer from them, don't assume that means they're telling the truth, that they're not there. My daughter never answers her phone when I try calling her. Text. That's the secret. They text back. So don't trust your caller ID on your phone. I know that sounds ridiculous. It's a caller ID. It should ID who's calling you. Don't trust it. It's often spoofed. And it can often be made to appear as if it's truly legitimate. Again, don't panic. Don't act quickly. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to step back and say, wait, what's really going on here? Ask yourself, why are they asking for that form of payment? Even in the grandparent scam, we've had occasion where your child's in jail, we need bail money. We'll send someone to your house to pick up cash. That makes no sense. The bail bondsmen don't do that. Or we had one person who was told to please put the money in an envelope in between magazines, $20,000 in this case, and mail it to this address. That's not how any of this would work. So be suspicious as to how they're asking for payment. And never give out any personal information on the phone unless you're the one who initiated the call to a known number. If someone's calling you, even if it's legitimate, I will call you back. And don't call them back on the number they give you or a number that pops up on your computer screen. Look up what is the hospital's number, what is Citibank's number, what is the IRS's general number. Again, don't give any information out on the phone. So this one I've titled Microsoft Scam. I want to put a slash and say it's also Apple computers as well. The reason I call it the Microsoft scam is there's only 14% of all personal home computers in the world are Apple computers. And if you're a bad guy, you're going to go for the percentages, and the percentages in Microsoft. But I recently received a call that my iCloud account had been compromised. So it's not limited to Microsoft. Now, I'm going to actually step back just very briefly. When I went through those other scams, realize this does not just apply to the ones I spoke of. So I've heard of energy companies giving you a call and trying to scam you. I've heard of the car warranty one that I think I get all too often, and I don't even own a car. It can be anyone reaching out, and everything. I could list every single one we know of. Within a week, there'll be something new. So just again, be cautious when you're getting an unsolicited call. So the Microsoft scam, also personal to me, because my dad actually fell for this scam. He sent money and he allowed people into his computer. My dad is one of the smartest individuals I know. He's a successful businessman. He's a certified public accountant. He is very intelligent, and he fell for this. So again, I'm going to throw out there, don't be embarrassed if you fall for it. I'm sure if my dad is on this call right now, he is embarrassed that I'm mentioning that he fell for it. But again, it can happen to anyone. So what happens here? You're on your computer and a pop-up message occurs saying, virus, 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 you need to call this number immediately. And you're probably thinking, well, the only way it could have gotten on my computer is if there is a virus. Kind of, but not exactly. There's something called malware, which they can, and I don't want to get too technical, which people can put on your computer. So if someone sends you an email that you don't know where that email is from, and you open that email, that in itself can put some malware on your computer that now allows the bad guy at least to send that pop-up to you saying you have a problem, you need to call us. Once you pick up the phone and you call that number, the person, of course, is going to answer, Microsoft, how can we help you? Because the number they gave you is set up to commit this fraud. So once again, you're going to assume this must be legitimate. I just called the number that says Microsoft on my Microsoft computer, and they answered Microsoft. It's not. What they do is they offer to help you, but they first need access to your computer. You got to share your screen. They'll walk you through how to do this. That is a big problem, because first of all, once they're on your computer, they can now basically duplicate your entire hard drive. Any information you have on there, bank account information, social security number, date of birth, mortgage information, anything you have on there, they now have. And you should be aware of that. What they did with my dad is, I don't think they had gone that far, although we had him change all his accounts, but they fixed the problem. That flashing thing went away, and they said, we really appreciate it. That will only cost you $500. If you could please send us $500. Sir, why don't we make this easier on you? If you have a check nearby, just give us the check number. You won't even have to write out a check, and we'll withdraw the $500. And $5,000 later, they had withdrawn money. Fortunately, they had called me to tell me about their computer problems. And I told them, quick, call the bank, shut that account down, and change all your accounts and throw the computer in the trash. You don't have to throw your computer in the trash. That was hyperbole. You do have to get it fixed, because once they're on your computer and the information is on the computer, they will have continuing access. This also, so this same scam happened to my former deputy bureau chief's mother, who also a very bright woman, worked in the United Nations. She got a phone call, and the phone call was, "Excuse me, ma'am, I'm calling from Microsoft. Has your computer been running slower than you would like lately?" All of our computers run slow. We want it to be really quick. She said yes. And again, same thing. They allowed access to the computer, ended up getting her banking information, her credit card information, and all her passwords. So again, Microsoft's not going to call you. If you've ever tried calling Microsoft to get help, realize how long that takes and how hard that is, or even Apple for that matter. Apple's a little better, but still, they're not going to be calling you. If you can't call them and deal with someone quickly, they're not calling you. Again, all of these scams, whether it's the car warranty, whether it's the Microsoft, or whether it's the grandparents, they have something in common. They're trying to obtain your personal information. They are pressuring you, act immediately. Don't try to verify the truth of the claim, just do it quickly. There's got to be upfront payment in some untraceable or strange form, cash, wire transfer, iTunes, gift cards, false claims of being from a legitimate agency, medical facility, and the like, with a phone number that may look like it's matching. And again, even some of the emails you may get will look very real with the insignia and the seal and all of that. Don't fall for it. If you're getting an unsolicited email from even Netflix, as Detective Spell will get into, it's probably fraudulent. So again, never give out your personal information to anyone unless you start that conversation. Always verify the source, call them back. Don't rely on the phone number on your caller ID. Don't open any emails or text messages or attachments if you don't know who they're from. If something pops up in your bank from Wells Fargo and you're a Citibank customer, don't even open it, just delete it. They may have a great offer, look them up online. Maybe you'll find the great offer there. And again, don't respond to any unknown communications. Go directly to the websites of the particular businesses. I wanted to very briefly, before I turn it over to others, touch on real estate fraud prevention tips, because we've had a lot of deed fraud hitting our desks as of late. And I just want to, if you're having trouble paying your mortgage, times are often very difficult, and someone says they can help you where no one else could, be suspicious. Please do not sign any documents pertaining to renegotiating your mortgage, doing a short sale, whatever it may be, without reading them carefully, or even better, having a lawyer explain them to you. What's also important is make sure that the lawyer explaining them to you is your lawyer and not a lawyer given to you by the person who says, I can help you here, because oftentimes they are in on it. Um, be very careful of unsolicited help. If you're in foreclosure and someone knocks on your door and says, I can help you with your foreclosure, ask yourself, why is he here? If my refrigerator broke last night, someone wouldn't be knocking on my door the next morning saying, I can help you with your broken fridge. So unsolicited help is usually problematic. And like any other scam, if it sounds too good to be true, it's a scam. So if you've been to 10 different companies who said, we can't renegotiate with the bank, we can't redo your deal, and someone says, no problem. In fact, you're going to have to pay next to nothing. It's a scam. Because if it wasn't a scam, that person would have people lined up around the block to help people. Last thing you should know, if you are the victim of identity theft or scams, there are 3 reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. These are credit agencies, and a number of things can be done. You can either flag your account because you've been the victim of fraud, or what I highly recommend is if you're at the point in your life where you're not going to be taking out any new loans, you're not going to be taking out any new credit cards, do what's called a credit freeze. Each of the agencies can walk you through how to do it. It will make it so nobody can take money out in your name. The problem is if you're walking through Macy's, when we can walk through Macy's again, and they offer you a great deal on a credit card where you get 50% off today only, you can't do it because you're going to need a day to unfreeze your credit. But again, highly recommend this, especially if you've already been victimized. And again, you can always call the Kings County DA's office. Eric Gonzalez, the DA here, has an action center in place. I'm the chief of the Frauds Bureau. I'm happy to help. So just know there are resources here, and we're always happy to help you. Thank you. And I think at this point, we're turning it over to Cliff, Detective Spell, is that correct?
We're turning it over to Ronald.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
Okay.
why I'm not the host.
Thank you, Greg. Really good information. Again, if you guys have any question, you can use the Q&A. I see some question there, and or if it's comfortable for you, you can use the chat also. Okay, go ahead.
All right, should I just start right in? Okay. My name is Ron Fatoullah. I'm an elder law and estate planning attorney. Gregory, that was just an absolutely great job. So I assume I did not win the lottery for $10 million, having to pay $100,000 to get the $10 million that I will never get, which happened to a client of mine a couple of years ago. It was a gentleman from Queens, actually. He only had $63,000 to his name, and he won the $1 million lottery. And someone contacted him, befriended him, and every month there was some other reason why you had to pay $5,000, $7,000, $3,000 to get this lottery winning, and this big jackpot. And when I noticed it, the family interceded, and he didn't believe the son. This gentleman was so enamored with these crooks that were so good at what they did. It was amazing. So they just be very, very careful. And I got calls myself, supposedly from the I.R.S, which I knew was a scam. The I.R.S never calls you, but they're very frightening. As Gregory said, they're extremely frightening. Even though I knew it was a scam, I just said, whoa, well, this is crazy. And you get a little nervous inside, but you just know it's a scam. And of course, I just hung up. And but it's just crazy. If I didn't know what I knew, then I probably would have been nervous. And especially as you get older and might be a little more frail mentally, this is truly a big issue. So anyway, I'm Ron Fatoullah. Here's my contact information. Today, I only have about 20 minutes, but what I want to do is talk about elder abuse, fraud, scams, and some of the big changes that are happening to Medicaid. And, you know, the big issue is to plan ahead. So, you know, as an elder law attorney, when we do this type of elder law planning, it can be fraught with financial abuse. That abuse could come from third parties. That abuse could come from a family member, you know, a daughter or a son. So we've had instances in the past where the family home was transferred by a frail, you know, client of mine, we discovered afterwards, to a hairdresser. And this happened to two of my clients, two different hairdressers in two different areas. But whoa, and you think about it, you know, in each of these cases, they would go to this hairdresser every week, and that was a big event. That was the outing. And social isolation has a lot to do with this when someone, you know, is yearning to be a part of a community and have, you know, a communication with someone, especially face to face. Especially now with the pandemic, which we're not getting as much of that as we like, it really is an issue. But getting back to elder law planning, part of the plans that we often have might be to transfer or shift assets to living trusts, and sometimes even to individuals, such as a child. When assets go to a living trust, who will be the trustee to control those assets? Again, asset transfers sometimes to individuals. So this has the potential to lead to elder abuse. But, you know, it's very interesting. I've been doing this for about 40 years now. And I think I've gotten a very good sense of smell. I could sniff out when there's an issue. Our consultations last about 2 hours, or an hour and a half to over 2 hours. And within that span of time, and with all of the questions that we ask, we could kind of sniff out if something's a little fishy and what's going on. And abuse takes a lot of different forms. It could be the abuse by a trustee of a trust. Look at that fourth bullet point. But the trustee is a fiduciary, and they have to act in accordance with the terms of the trust and in the best interest of the individuals involved. If they don't, they could be sued personally. It's very rare because, again, as attorneys, we get involved, we look at everything. This hardly ever happens. But I can't say in my 40 years, it's never happened. But just by the mere fact that we as attorneys are involved, we could sniff this out, usually, almost all the time, but not every time. And sometimes, very, very rarely, something sneaks through. But the fact that the attorney is involved alone, and the fact that there are rules, and the fact that the beneficiary can get an accounting for every penny that went in the trust and came out of that trust, you know, and that's a matter of right that we insist on depending on the family situation. But we find out what's going on pretty quickly. And if, God forbid, in that rare case, something has happened, we could get that money back. So that's a very, very big deal. Same thing with the agent on a power of attorney. You know, that agent on the power of attorney doesn't have carte blanche. That agent on a power of attorney is also a fiduciary and must act in the best interest of the principal, which might be a spouse, mom who's ill or with dementia, or dad, etc. Just this morning, I saw a client. We're doing a Medicaid application for this client. We do a lot of Medicaid planning and Medicaid applications in my practice. And in going through some of the documentation, there was fraud, and monies came out of this individual's account. and it was investigated. It was not a family, but it was a so-called caregiver that got involved and wrote checks to herself, and the police were involved, and this money was returned back. But for Medicaid purposes, we have to show if there are gifts. And it looked, like there are gifts here, but of course there weren't gifts made because that was a fraudulent situation. But just by chance, I'm dealing with that right before this presentation. So it's pretty rampant. Now, how can we stop fraud in its tracks? Well, on various levels. When you have a good attorney involved, we do elder law and estate planning and special needs, and we look at this very, very closely. But we do this along with a financial advisor, the CPA, and the geriatric care manager. Many times, simply drafting a living trust and making sure that the trustee is someone that the individual trusts implicitly will do the trick and can stop a fraud. Because let's say an individual has 3 children, and he might say, well, I trust child A implicitly. What about child B or C? Well, I love them, but, I do have my doubts. So we may want to, aside from the Medicaid planning and protecting assets and estate tax issues, we may want to transfer assets in a trust merely to protect them and to avoid the issues of probate later on. And once those assets are in a trust and you have a trusted trustee, then those assets will be protected to a large extent. You can't stop someone from being a crook. But if that trustee is a crook, and it has hardly ever happened in my 40-year career, it might have happened once, but there are safeguards involved. For example, first of all, the right person has been picked, handpicked. Trust is a huge issue, and people get a good gut feeling as to who they could trust and who they can't. But on top of that, we can have what's known as a trust protector who's overseeing what's going on in the trust. That trust protector could be the attorney, financial advisor. Many times it's a CPA. So you get that added protection. With a power of attorney, we could add a monitor, and that's in the statutory form of power of attorney. Most people just, overlook that. But a monitor could be added to monitor the activities of the agent on the power of attorney to make sure that everything is running in the right direction, there's no fraudulent activity, etc. And that goes a very long way. The attorney, financial advisor, and the CPA have to talk together. There's a reason why my son and I set up a wealth management firm about a dozen years ago. It's called Brightside Advisors, because we've seen issues with asset management, especially in trusts. And the advisor really needs to understand the legal aspects of that trust, so the trust is not only managed correctly, the assets are managed correctly, the interest is paid out exactly to who the interest is owed, and the principal is paid out exactly in accordance with the trust. That's very, very exact. You can't fool around with it. 1 penny could make the difference of the trust protecting assets or not protecting assets. So that's why we did that. But when you have your team together, the attorney, the financial advisor, and the CPA, possibly a geriatric care manager, everyone looking at what's going on. And you might even have a bonded money manager. Well, there are clues that we all, or maybe together as a team, or maybe just one of us, can pick up. I know that we've picked up many situations as attorneys, and we've picked up many situations as financial advisors. And a case we've had, my son and I had about 2 years ago, is where there was fraud with an account that had about $1.6 million. The fraud was about $1 million, and that was done by a family member. So the fraud and abuse can happen, with even family members. So you want to have your documents in place. You want to have constant communication with your professional team. And these documents really minimize the chance of fraud. If you have a will that sets forth where your assets go, and it's clear, and you have that down, well, that's terrific. But what if, and here's another fraudulent situation that crops up all the time. Let's say mom has 3 children, and one daughter is helping mom the most. And she starts to resent the fact that she's helping mom the most, and the other 2, her siblings, the other 2 children aren't, according to her, picking up the slack quite as much. And she resents that. And one day, we've seen this many times, one day she gets upset and she goes into mom and says, look, mom, I'm helping you here, and I need you to change your will, to change your living trust, and you should make me the beneficiary on almost all of your assets. If you want to give a few percent to, my brother and my sister, that's okay, but I'm helping you, and if you don't do this, then I'm just going to leave you. I've had it. This is just not fair. You have everything equal. Well, there's a word for this, or 2 words. This is called undue influence. Mom, dad, even as you age, even if you become a bit more frail, where you could be influenced a little bit more, conversations like this is called undue influence. And if actions are taken with undue influence, or if a will is signed or a trust is signed with undue influence, they can be undone. So what would a good attorney do? Sniff out the undue influence, kick out anybody in that room when you're talking about a will, when you're talking about a living trust. And in 99% of the times, we will find out just in that consultation exactly what's going on. Especially when someone's frail, we could kind of figure it out. Someone could still be lucid enough to sign these documents, but be frail mentally. I think I only have a couple of more minutes, and I think I have about 95% more of slides. But what I'm going to do is just go over the rest pretty quickly. You want your will in place, where your assets go when you pass away. You want the power of attorney that's expanded, provides for gifts, but with safeguards. Think about appointing a monitor, a healthcare proxy. Who's going to make your healthcare decisions if you can't make them? Make these decisions while you're well. And a living trust. Have a living trust. When assets are in a good living trust with the right trustee, and if you don't trust anyone, it's okay. It's okay. There are professional trustees who do this for a fee. If you pay a little fee, who cares if assets are protected? So these are all things to figure out, and that's what we do in our consultation or consultations, figure out what is needed to protect assets and how can we not only protect assets from Medicaid, estate taxes, etc., but from fraud and abuse. It's very, very important. So we have these slides on the powers of attorneys, etc., and these documents. A living trust goes a long way to prevent fraud and abuse. And if you think about it, assets aren't going to be held by mom individually, just out there where someone could just come in and grab a check. And that's what happened with my client today, where the caregiver just came in and fraudulently signed mom's name on checks, which is great. Or actually had mom even sign her name on a couple of checks, just awful. But they're going to be in a trust with a trusted trustee. With it accountings, it's protected, and you get Medicaid planning and Medicaid protection. All of these documents right now could be signed virtually with virtual notarization. Governor Cuomo has these executive orders. They keep renewing into April 20th. And, even if he doesn't keep his, the ability to sign these executive orders, there are signs in Albany that we are still going to have virtual notarization. That's this slide, in virtual witnessing. So I do want to talk about one thing just for a couple of minutes. All of the news that you might have heard me talk about in the past about draconian Medicaid home care rules that were going to come into effect April 1. That's today. Well, April Fools, because, those rules have been pushed back from today to July 1. Why? Because we're still involved in a public health emergency, and that's why they're being pushed back. So that 30-month look back, only for Medicaid home care, will not be enforced. There is no look back. They will only start, from what we know right now and from what the Department of Health is telling us, as of July 1. So we have this window of opportunity to submit Medicaid home care applications right now in April, May. June is getting a little tight, but June too. But we need to do planning in advance. But we can do this with applications submitted prior to July 1, 2021. So it's a very short time. That's breaking news. So right now, I'm just skipping over these slides. So we have this planning opportunity. It's been pushed down, the can has been pushed down the road for another 3 months. But what does this mean? What does this window of opportunity mean? Well, if somebody submits a Medicaid application today, and let's say last month, which is yesterday, March 30th, right? There is a transfer of $200,000. So take the example. Mom has $215,900 in her name. The Medicaid asset level is $15,900. She's $200,000 over-resourced, too much in assets for Medicaid. If she transferred or gifted that $200,000 yesterday and transferred those assets into the Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, not only would those assets be protected vis-a-vis many instances of fraud and abuse, but those assets would be out for Medicaid if the trust is drafted correctly. Then mom will be eligible for Medicaid the first day of the very next month. So if that was done yesterday, today she'll be eligible to get a home health attendant, believe it or not. But come July 1, with the same scenario, if that Medicaid application was transferred to a trust July 1, Medicaid will look back and penalize the individual so that there will be a long waiting period, and Medicaid would not grant the home health attendant so soon at all. There will be a long period of time that the individual will have to wait. This slide talks about how that penalty period is calculated. There's some exceptions to the rule. We still have the right to use a pooled income trust, but those rules are going to change July 1. The next few slides talk about the draconian new rules that will be effective July 1. And I just want to make mention of that Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, which also, again, can be used from a fraud protection point of view, but it is the gold standard way to protect assets. For Medicaid, yes, fraud and abuse, but with the added tax benefits, which are huge. These trusts could eliminate capital gains taxes, which can be huge. Here are the advantages to the living trust. I don't have time to go over this, but these slides will be made available to you. I think my time is up, which is why I'm running through this so quickly. So I do want to thank everyone so much. Thank you, Gregory. That was a great presentation. And I'm certainly looking forward to Clifford's presentation coming next, I believe. So thank you so much. Take care and good luck.
Thank you, Ronald. And yes, Clifford, you're up next. Again, if anybody has any question, please add it to the chat. We'll be answering them at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
A lot of good information, a wealth of good information, both Greg and Ron. I really appreciate that. Let me get this screen sharing thing going. Okay. So my name is Cliff Spell. I'm a detective with the New York City Police Department. I'm assigned to the Financial Crimes Task Force. And I am duly deputized with the United States Postal Inspection Service. I am tasked with investigating financial crimes. I know you heard a lot of things about financial crimes, about various types of crimes that are investigated, and I'm going to try to attempt to go through those right now with you. So let me do a little backstory. Prior to coming here, I used to work in Queens. I worked what we call night watch. I investigated homicides and shootings and violent crimes. Subsequent to leaving that, I came here and I got a lot of flack. A lot of people would say things like, oh, why do you want to do financial stuff, white collar crime? It doesn't really affect anybody. Well, I'm here to tell you that it does affect a lot of people. I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and I've seen the effect that financial crimes have on the elderly, on the sick, and pretty much just on everyone. And it affects all of us. No one is exempt. This little guy, his name is Jeremiah, AKA Bubba. This is my son. A few years ago, my wife and I, about 2 years ago, we went to Vegas on a business trip with my wife, and he became very sick. He ended up being in the intensive care unit at the hospital in Vegas, where we got him the best treatment that we could possibly get him. Moving forward, I received a bill. And one word that you're going to hear me say numerous times during this presentation is due diligence. Due diligence. Due diligence is going to save you big bucks. Okay. So I received this bill and I start reviewing it. And here I am thinking, I'm a city employee. I have relatively decent health insurance. As I go over the bill, it basically says, hey, you owe us almost $6,000 for services rendered to your child while he was in the hospital. And I'm like, that's impossible. I have insurance coverage. Due to my due diligence, I was able to review the bill and learn, this is Bubba, he's doing well. I was able to learn that it was a mistake. They put down the wrong information on the document. They put down the wrong social security number, and they put down a social security number, and at the time he didn't even have one. And they put down his personal information and my personal information. Now, had I not had due diligence, had I not taken the time to read thoroughly this document, I would have been out $6,000. Now, that was quote unquote an innocent mishap. But the due diligence transfers over into everything that we do. And again, you're going to hear me say due diligence over and over again. And a lot of these slides, a lot of this presentation is going to be very similar to that, which both gentlemen, Greg and Ron, spoke about 5 minutes ago. And again, it is due diligence. We want to hammer it in that you understand how important these things are. Okay, so let's just start with a simple definition. Identity theft is basically committed when a person knowingly and with intent to defraud assumes another person's identity, okay? Very clear cut, nothing crazy about that. I want to show you a brief video, okay? And the video is humorous, serious, and maybe a little silly, but I want you to grasp, I want you to watch everything in the video, and then I'll go through it real quick.
Oh, you know what? Diane's gonna be here pretty soon. Better get ready.
Sweet. Hey, can you use your bathroom?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, buddy, let's do it.
Are you wearing my sweater? That's my sweater.
No, it isn't.
That's clearly my sweater.
It's my sweater.
No, I bought that at a thrift store like a couple of months ago.
If it's your sweater, why does it fit so good?
Look, just take off my sweater and let's go, okay? Are you wearing my glasses?
What are you talking about?
How did you take my glasses off?
These are my glasses. I can't see without these things.
Look, just take off my sweater and my glasses, all right? This is getting a little weird.
Are you feeling okay, buddy? Let me give you one of my aspirins.
No, that's my aspirin. Oh, Jesus Christ! Where'd you get that mustache?
What, this out there?
Okay, look, I don't know what's going on here, Sean.
Who's Sean? I'm not Sean. I'm Jeff.
No, I'm Jeff.
I'm Jeff.
I am Jeff. My name is
I
Jeff.
don't know what you're talking about, buddy.
Look, just take off my sweater, okay?
What's up?
Are you ready for the movie?
Oh, Diane, thank God you're here. The craziest thing is happening.
Diane, my name's Jessica.
No, your name's Diane and you're my girlfriend.
Honey, who is this guy?
I don't know. Some guy won't leave the apartment.
This is my apartment. I mean, these are my family photos. What the hell? Look out, he's got a knife. Oh my God.
Please don't kill
I'm
him.
not gonna kill you. I love you, Diane.
Stop saying that name.
Police! Put down the knife!
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Let the girl go!
I have no idea what's happening.
I love you, Jessica!
I love you, Jeff.
I am Jeff.
I'm warning you!
No, please don't.
I'll just another day at the office.
Jeff?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my
Jeff.
Okay, so I show that video and some people, I get different reactions each time I show it. The reason I show it again is because it encompasses so many different aspects of what happens when someone takes over your identity, right? We have the component of, here we have a friend in the apartment. This is a friend taking over a friend's identity, right? This is someone that we know. We have the component of potentially someone being injured or, God forbid, dying from taking over identity, right? So there's so many different components within this one video, and I felt that it has such value. And yeah, it's humorous, it's funny, and we know that identity theft and being victims is not funny, but it just has so many different components that I think it's extremely valuable. Some questions that you can throw up into the chat or into the Q&A. Are you or someone that you know a victim? How long did it take? How to resolve it? Have you resolved it? And how difficult was it? Those are some of the questions that I'd like some of you to answer if possible. The dynamics. So within, I've been on the jobs 22 years now, and from the 90s up until today, society as we know it has changed, notwithstanding COVID, just criminality itself. And I know Greg can attest to this and seeing a lot of the different cases that have come through, both when he was in Queens and now that he's in Brooklyn. Back in the 90s, we had, the city was exploding with drug problems. In the 80s and 90s, exploding with drug problems. You could see drugs being sold on every single corner everywhere, pretty much. You fast forward to 2017, when it really started peaking, you don't see it as much. I'm not gonna say drugs aren't there. Drugs are definitely still prevalent, but you don't see it as much. Now, what we've come to see is financial crimes. And what are the types of financial crimes? These perpetrators that were doing drug sales and manipulating the drug system back in the 90s are now morphed into doing the financial aspect. Why? Why do they do this? Because they're less likely to be caught. You don't have to worry about competitors on the street. You don't have to worry about getting caught by the police on the street. You don't have to worry about the elements of the street, where you could stand on a street corner back in the 90s and make maybe $5,000 in a night, $10,000 in a night. You can sit at home on your laptop and make $500,000 in a few minutes. Okay, and that's some of the things that we're going to go over. Types of identity theft. And again, it's a wide gamut. It involves credit card fraud, skimming, check fraud, telemarketing fraud, internet fraud, you name it. And it predominantly, I'm assigned to the special frauds part of my unit. It entails the elderly, and that's the cases that I investigate. So we'll go over check fraud and mail fraud and forgery. You know, over the last few years, my elderly parents, I would always tell them, you know, stop writing checks. Don't use checks. We had a conversation earlier about whether to, you know, people writing checks or doing things online. I tend to agree. Me personally, I'm an online person. You have a better shot. With respect to the Postal Inspection Service, I investigate tales of check fraud a lot. What happens is you write out a check to pay your mortgage, to make your car payment, whatever it is. You put it in the mail, you drop it in your blue receptacle box. Criminals now come, they do what's called mail phishing. They take a shoestring, tie it around the top of a soda bottle, get a rat trap, sticky side up, tape it around, put it into the mailbox, wiggle it around, pull it out, and out comes your check. What do I do with your check? I then wash your check. Check washing is, well, I'll show you what check washing is. And it's very easy to do, very common, very easy to do. Quick video.
So what is this check washing and how easy is it to perform? Well, that's the scary part. Let me show you. Okay, I'm going to zoom the camera in just as close as it can get so you can clearly see what's going on. Here's my check, which I filled out using a dye-based pen. And again, the vast majority of pens are dye-based. And I'm going to go ahead and submerge it in the bath of acetone. And you'll be able to very quickly see the ink from the dye-based pen being eaten away. Now it's been in there for about 20 seconds and at least half the ink is gone. Okay, it's been less than 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and take it out early to show you that what I have now is a washed check that I can then fill in with my own information.
And it's that simple. You write your rent check, again, $500. I get it. I go to Walgreens. I buy a little thing of acetone. I pour it in a basin, stick the check in there. I wash it. Now I write a check to myself for $5,000. Very prevalent. And this particular crime is more prevalent towards the elderly, because who continues to write checks are the elderly. The younger crowds, the millennials and so forth, they use their phones. Myself, I use my phone. So it's known in the criminal world that the elderly still write the checks. So they'll know at the end of the month or the beginning of the month to go in there and do that mail phishing and try and get that check out. The 419 fraud, also known as the Nigerian letter. This the name derives from where the crime occurs. A lot of these crimes occur, believe it or not, overseas. There'll be a self-proclaimed government official. They'll tell you that you won the lottery, you have an inheritance, someone left some property for you, and all you have to do is pay the taxes or the federal trade fees most of the time. And again, if it sounds too good to be true, it's not true. All right. Especially a lot of times, again, due diligence. Do I even have family in this country? How does this person even have my information? I've never traveled outside the US for this person to have my name, my information. A lot of times what you'll see is they'll have grammar issues, the names of the agency is misspelled, typos, artwork, the seal of whatever particular agency it is incorrect. Very easy to spot. Telemarketing fraud. Telemarketing fraud is basically the phishing that you get when you're getting ready to sit down and have that first bite of that meal that you have for dinner at 7 o'clock at night. Ring, ring, ring. The phone comes in and they start asking you questions. And I think Greg touched on this earlier. No financial institution, no official institution should be calling you and asking you for information. They should not be asking you to verify anything. If you receive a phone call from a bank, from Time Warner Cable, from Con Edison, and says, oh, we just want to verify, please provide your social, your date of birth, your mother's maiden name. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. 99% of the time, it's going to be a scam. Jamaican lottery scam. Again, the name derives from where the particular scam comes from. About 2 years ago, I had a big Jamaican lottery scam in Manhattan. I had some wealthy ladies receiving phone calls advising them, correspondence, actually phone calls, letters, and emails, advising them that they won the lottery. And all you're responsible to do is pay the Federal Trade Commission taxes and fees. How much is that? Oh, it's about $30,000. And you're going to win 1.2 million. Okay, well, due diligence. Again, let's think back. Did I ever play the lotto? Did I ever go to Jamaica and play the lotto? Why would they be calling me from here to collect money, right? Well, it's not just in Jamaica. They may tell you, oh, it's in New York. You played the lotto in New York and you won this money. All you have to do is pay these fees. They'll send you letters, email correspondence. And again, due diligence, you can look at the letters, you read them carefully. You'll notice in this particular case, the victim, one of the victims, was so, dare I say, obsessed, she didn't notice the spelling of Federal Trade Commission was spelled wrong. She didn't see that it was double print on the paper. And when I showed her these things, she was adamant, no, don't call them. I know they're going to send me my money. Long story short, she was out about $90,000. And she was just one of many victims that were out an exuberant amount of money. And again, they tend to direct their attention and their schemes towards the elderly. So just some quick safety tips. Learn as much as you can about the product, whatever it is. If it is the lotto, if it's Publishers Clearinghouse, whatever it is, learn as much about it as possible. Learn about the retailer, who it is that's selling it, have they been in business, things of that nature. Do your homework. Family can definitely be your worst nightmare. I can't tell you how many times I've had cases where I've investigated, and I think Ron spoke about this, family members stealing trusts, family members stealing entire bank accounts, family members stealing houses. And a lot of times the causes for this, obviously elder abuse, drug addiction, alcoholism, divorce, or just simply bad blood. Mom always did love you best, things of that nature. So it's very scary. Dark web. A lot of people are not familiar with the dark web, right? So the dark web is basically where you want to buy a kidney, you want to buy a gun, you want to buy drugs, you want to buy a child, or if you want to buy identities, you go on the dark web. The dark web is basically the underworld of the World Wide Web. You can go on the dark web, and for sometimes as little as $5, you can buy someone's personal identity. And I'm here to tell you that if you have ever been compromised, once your information is out there, unfortunately, it is out there. The only thing that will protect you from that point moving forward, due diligence. You have to stay on top of it. So when we think of the dark web, you have to break it down. You have on the surface, government resources, academic information, and then below that is where the hackers get in. They inject the encrypted Trojan horse into your computer or into a business's computer. For example, a few years back, we had Con Edison lost a laptop, one of their job laptops. We have been getting hit with Con Edison scams probably for the last 10 years because of that. On that laptop had customers' accounts, phone numbers, balances, PII, personal information, your dates of birth, things of that nature. And it's just continued and morphed from there up until the point that we currently have. My office is investigating Con Edison scams where they basically call you up and they say, hey, Cliff Spell, listen, you owe $300 on your Con Ed bill. If you don't pay it now, we're going to cut off your bill. And again, they ask for odd forms of payment. They ask for gift cards, green dot cards, vanilla sky cards. And even in certain cases with these scams, they'll ask you to send things like cell phones. I can attest to you right now, no business is asking you to pay with a gift card or a cell phone. If you get that, hang up. It's a scam. It's a scam. Signs of identity theft. Have you been denied credit? Are bills arriving late or not at all? Maybe you're waiting to receive a credit card in the mail and you hadn't gotten it. You're starting to obtain bills from unfamiliar companies, or you start getting those creditors calling you all the time. Hey, you owe this, you owe this, you owe this. That may be a sign you may want to run your credit. The biggest thing that thieves get out of identity theft is obviously your money. But a good thief doesn't immediately use your money. I don't want to say gone are the traditional days, but you won't see as many people doing, let's say, pickpockets and taking your credit card and going to the store to use it. It does happen, however, not as prevalent. I can make more money if I take your identity, if I take your credit card and I sell it. I can sell it 5 times to 5 different people for $100 and make $500 lowballing it. Or I can go to the store and buy $500 worth of product. It's less likely that I'm going to get caught if I sell it. And whoever uses that identity and that credit, good for them. They make what they make. I made what I made. And it goes on and on and on. So once your credit is out there, unfortunately, it's out there. They'll establish utilities. I've seen people open up cell phone accounts in other people's names, Social Security benefits. Right now, the COVID relief fund benefits is huge, huge. Some of your personal identifiers. You should not be sharing pretty much more than your name. No one needs to know your address, your date of birth, your Social Security, your mother's maiden name. That's all only for financial institutions if you're going to open up a line of credit. How will they use it again? They'll obtain your benefits, Social Security, COVID relief, things of that nature. They'll open up credit cards. We do credit card scams where they'll open up the cards and they do card cracking. They basically open up they'll run your name, find out you have phenomenal Gibraltar credit, and they'll go out and open up several different credit cards in your name, and they go to these high-end stores, maybe even a low-end store. Maybe they go to a Best Buy and they'll buy 5 flat screen TVs and max out the card, and that's it. They don't care because they're not paying it. And then you won't know about it until that billing cycle comes in another 30 or 60 days, and you start receiving these letters like, hey, your credit card is due. A lot of things that we'll see, particularly with the elderly, the heating scams, where again, they'll call up and say, hey, if you don't pay this, we'll turn off your heat or your gas. Mortgage scams. A lot of times they try to scam the elderly out of quite frankly, out of their homes. We've had cases very much like that. So let's go over a couple of ways that these things occur, right? So dumpster diving. Dumpster diving is basically what you think. I would pay a less fortunate person $20 to go up and down the block and go through the garbage. And why do I do that? People throw out their credit card statements. People throw out their Social Security card statements. People throw out all of their personal identifiers, right? These are things that now I can obtain, and I can get your name off of there. And then what do? I go online to the World Wide Web or the dark web, look up your name, find out your credit status, open up a line of credit in your name. I can also look up your phone number, your address. All of this information, unfortunately, is open source information. ATM skimming. So again, my office is tapped with investigating all skimming cases across the city. So ATM skimming. Skimming is basically when they put a device over the ATM slot where you would insert your card, and it reads the information on your card. There's usually a pinhole camera somewhere nearby to watch you type in your PIN. This is very, very common. This is bad because you take a location, let's just say MCU at Borough Hall, right downtown Brooklyn. You put one skimming device on top of an ATM in an MCU, and how many hundreds of people go into that MCU? That's how many people just got compromised. Okay, hundreds and hundreds. And this happens every day. The subjects will put the device on the machine, leave it there for hours or a day, come back when no one's around, take it off, take that device home, plug it in, and now they can review the video and correlate that with your PIN code, with the time and date and stamp that you inserted your card. They then re-encode new cards and go to town. They either do cash outs or they do shopping, mostly cash outs. These are just some brief photos of types of skimming machines. This is a skimming device that was placed on top of an point of sale machine at a Home Depot that my office investigated.
And that's just pretty much a bigger mold. Goes on top, goes on just like that. Swipes good. Goes in.
Okay, so looks normal. You walk up to it, you wouldn't even know. My suggestion, no matter whether it's at the bank or a point of sale machine, give it a tap, give it a tug, give it a pull. If it comes off in your hand, you just prevented yourself from becoming a victim. Nothing wrong with that. People may look at you a little weird, but due diligence. You have to protect yourselves. You have to protect yourselves. This clip is a very quick clip. Don't blink because you'll miss it. This is how fast you can put a skimming device on a point of sale machine. Gentlemen come in, you have one distracting, right? Oh, how much of the cigarettes all the way over there? They distract the cashier. Second guy walks up, and again, don't blink. Done. Anyone that uses that machine moving forward, their credit card is now compromised. It's that simple. Clips right on. I say give it a tap, give it a tug, give it a pull. Perhaps when you're at that machine, it comes off in your hand and you're not a victim, and you prevent anyone else after you from becoming a victim. Phishing. Phishing is pretty much what it sounds like. Someone will call you up, send you an email, send you a letter. They throw the hook in the water, move it around, and whoever takes a bite, I got you on the hook, I pull you in. They'll call you up and say, or they'll send out a letter to every Cliff spell in the United States, right? Let's just say there's 100. You owe X amount of dollars. If you don't pay X amount of dollars, we're going to put this on your credit, right? Well, Cliff Spell's looking to buy a house. I have to have stellar credit. I don't want to have any problems. Let me pay that out, right? That's what they do. They'll call you up and say, oh, let me verify X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you're calling me. You already have the information. You tell me what you have. Don't provide any information. Again, you'll see it in an email, failure to respond within an immediate time frame. You have to get to us right away. We're going to cut off your gas. We're going to cut off your electric. We're going to send the police to your house. I know Greg spoke about the I.R.S. one. My mom got that same phone call. Oh, this is Officer so-and-so from the I.R.S. If you don't pay X amount of dollars, we're going to come to your house and arrest you. My mom's a spunky older lady, and she's standing outside smoking a cigarette, and she says, all right, come and get me. Here I am. And that's just the mentality you have to have. They're not going to do that. They're not coming for you. I work criminal investigations, and I can't get the I.R.S. on the phone. So there's no way they're calling just arbitrarily like that. Again, stealing, not as prevalent. It does happen. I would rather have an encounter with you that I'm not likely to get caught or seen. So stealing your identity online as opposed to stealing in person, I'd rather do that. What's in your wallet? Throw out a question again, Q&A. Who still carries around their Social Security card? And every time I do this presentation, I get no less than 3 people that are willing to admit that they still carry their Social Security card around. There is no reason for you to carry your Social Security card unless you are going to a place that requires you to show it that day. Other than that, leave it at home, leave it in the safe. Christmas time, holiday seasons, right? There is no reason to carry 300 credit cards in your wallet. And I get on my wife about this all the time. on a daily basis, you need one, at best two, a credit card and a debit card. That's it. You don't need to have 100 credit cards. It's just not safe. You don't want to lose everything at once. Credit card, cell phone combination. I've seen this in the last 2 years. It's very prevalent. I do not recommend it. Reason being, you lose your credit card and your wallets, bad day. You lose your cell phone, bad day. You lose your credit card and your cell phone, all your information is out there. Very bad day. Shoulder surfing, another form of crime that happens at the ATM. You'll see the little mirrors at the top. Those are supposed to be there for your protection. You see someone looking over your shoulder, tell them take a step back. That's what they're there for. Dishonest employees. Dishonest employees is about a $50 billion loss reported annually. Listen, we have bad apples in every bunch. We have bad apples in the police department. We have bad apples everywhere. Okay. I can't tell you how many cases I've investigated. Pretty much Chase Bank, TD Bank, Bank of America, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, hospitals, home health aides, so many places where I've unfortunately had to arrest employees, bad apples. All of these places have one thing in common, that they're able to obtain your personal information. You go to a cell phone store, you have to provide a lot of times your social security. They steal that information. You go in, you try and open up one cell phone. Oh, Mr. Spell, you have stellar credit. Why don't you get the family plan? You're eligible for 5 phones. No, thank you. I just want the one phone. Okay, no problem. Take the one phone, you leave the store. The employee then takes it, opens up 4 more cell phones in your name and sells those phones to someone else. Okay, big business, big business. And hacking. Hacking is very prevalent. It comes in the form usually of an email. You'll open up an email from an unrecognized sender, and in that email there is spamware. It attaches to your computer. I'm not going to go into the whole technical terms of it. It attaches to your computer in places a lot of times you wouldn't even expect. Maybe it hides in your photos, or maybe it hides in your login. It's so many different places. And now every time you log in, I can see mirror image of what you're doing. So when you log in your social, your account information, I can see how much you have. I can see, your passwords. Yahoo was hacked, okay, just a few years ago, up to 3 billion with a B accounts. Okay, this is your personal emails. These are photos you're sending, documents that you're sending, personal identifiers that you're sending. This was all hacked. This was all out in the world. Netflix. Everybody loves Netflix, right? Back in 2017, Netflix got hit. Someone mimicked the financial page for Netflix and sent out emails, a phishing email, asking for, telling people that their payment account was compromised and they needed to update the payment process. Now, if you take a look, maybe a little small, but if you take a look, you can see the fake page versus the real page. At a quick glance, you're not going to know. You're not going to know. They even went so far as to copy the secure server gram on the page. You're not going to know. So again, due diligence. What do? You receive an email like this. Oh, you know what? Let me call. Let me go out of the way, log off of this, go into Netflix and find out, is this true? Let me Google Netflix scam and see if this is true. Due diligence, because no one's going to protect you the way you're going to protect you. Okay. Reporting it. There's numerous ways you can report identity theft and or fraud, right? We can obviously contact the police department, contact the district attorney's office. There's different agencies out there. There are 3 known credit bureaus. If you become the victim of identity theft, it is in your behest to contact all 3 credit bureaus yourself. All 3 credit bureaus: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, right? Why do we do this? Because it's the same concept when you apply for something. They don't go through all 3 credit bureaus. So it's like potluck. You can do one and not do the others, and the others are where the information is at. So you want to make sure you contact all 3. And then if you're able to do it, you pay a couple of extra bucks, you have a credit monitoring service, LifeLock, ID Shield, any one of these things, they'll pay for you. You pay them and they'll monitor your credit continually. And it's not a bad idea, again, to put a secure lock on your credit. If you don't plan on buying a house, buying a car, opening up any lines of credit, it's a good idea. So it's a very good idea. Fraud complaints, you can see how much they've gone up over the years. And about 70% of fraud complaints consist of identity theft. So this little thing right here is something that can prevent a lot of heartache. I bought my dad one of these a few years back. 20 bucks, 20, 30 bucks. You get yourself a shredder. My dad sat in his living room and shredded day after day after day. This can help prevent dumpster diving. This is so it cuts everything up. If you don't need it, you shred it. Don't crumple it up. Don't cut it up with scissors. You shred it and you throw it in the garbage. And again, this $20, $30 investment can save you thousands and thousands of dollars. On your phone, on your computer, update your passwords annually, semi-annually, whatever you can do. Try avoid using, simple things like your date of birth, your spouse's date of birth, your children's date of birth. These are normal things that if these criminals are going to do their homework, and again, this is their job. My job is to be a detective and investigate crimes. I come in, I do 8 to 16-hour shift. That's my job. These criminals, their job is to investigate you and find out your identity and ways that they can compromise it. That is what they do. That's how they get paid. You have to think of it that way. So you want to avoid using things that would be very easy for me to find out. And quite honestly, you can find out almost anything on the internet. Don't broadcast your personal information. One thing that I used to teach a lot was on the back of your credit card. They don't really ask for identification much anymore like they should. You write the letters CID as in C identification. And this would prevent someone who is not supposed to use your credit card from using your credit card, ideally, if they ask. And there's nothing wrong with that. That way you go out to dinner, $500 bill, $200 bill, whatever it is, they see CID. If that person doesn't have your identification, they can't use that card. Let's see what we got here. So prevention, a couple of ways. Delete file by file, okay? Delete the entire file, or my favorite is the power tool. When you're getting rid of things like cell phones and computers, you have to think of those as a potential way to breach your data. The police department does a program where they used to accept cell phones for domestic violence. Great program, but all of your information, this right here is a small computer. This is a small computer. That's all it is. All of your information is stored in there. A lot of people use passwords for their banking and so forth in their phone. So think about that when you're giving that phone to your child, grandchild, or donating it. Another thing that a lot of people forget, and particularly the elderly, when we go to the library to use a copy machine, a new copy machine, and when I say new, I mean pretty much anything from 2000 till now is new. It's a computer. When you scan your documents, your driver's license, your birth certificate, your social security card on that copy machine, it's basically saved and stored in that machine. Someone could ideally go to a public library with a USB, plug it into the copy machine, and if they have the code or the know-how, now they can download all the copies that were on that machine. Now I have everything that was ever copied on that machine, all your personal identifiers. So something to think about. If you become a victim, documentation, due diligence, get as much information as you possibly can prior to coming to the police. Go to the bank, get bank statements. You're saying I did X, Y, and Z charges? All right, show me. Get all of that information. Then when you get to the police, you can articulate, okay, I went to the bank. They told me I did $2,000 in transactions. This is a copy of the bank statement. You'll speak to a detective and they'll start an investigation, okay? Very important. So the New York City Police Department has tons of resources. I work with the Postal Inspection Service. We have task force out with the Secret Service Federal Trade Commission, the FBI, the DA's offices in all boroughs. So we try to work hand in hand. Obviously, if we have a case that needs prosecuting, we'll go either to the DA's office or Southern or Eastern District of New York, depending on the type of case. It's due diligence that is going to save you. That is the biggest thing I would like for you to take away. Only you know if you have $5,000 in your account or $50,000 in your account. Okay, so if you had 50,000 yesterday and you only have 5 today, something's wrong. Unless you did it, something's wrong. So it's incumbent upon you to be diligent with your funds, and don't trust in anyone to assume that they're gonna do the right thing, because unfortunately in today's society we have a lot of people that don't want to do the right thing. I appreciate your time. I kind of rushed through. I know I wanted to make sure we had enough time for everybody else, but I hope to get some good questions in the review.
Yes, that was a really good information and surprising stuff too. I will never think about the scanner from actually a retail store. Somebody can go in and put something on top of a retail store machine. That's scary. But like you said, due diligence is always good. So if you see something, say something, or if you see something that's not normal, just pay attention, pay more attention, right? Thank you, everybody. We do have some questions. Let's go back. Linda, so she's hi Linda, you did send me an email about your question. So I think this question is from the DA office. Greg, can you see the question in the Q&A box?
Put my glasses on for 1 second. The wallet being stolen.
Yes, she said she got scammed by looking up Amazon customer service number, and it turned out to be a used scam. She didn't call the phone number, left a voicemail, but look up who I thought was Amazon customer service, which was a used scam, and through a debit card, which is why the bank now is denying my claim, despite being in tough with them right away. Bank claim I authorized the transaction, no matter how many times I say that was a scam, but they probably not helping her. I've already contacted the Numbers Agency and filed police report. Any help from the DA office or the Borough President office?
I mean, the issue here is we can help to the extent that we can help investigate the criminal activity. If there is some way to figure out where that website was originated, if it's within the country, and we could establish a case, we could prosecute it. The one thing we can't do is tell the banks, you're being jerks, do the right thing here. I mean, we could say that, they're not going to listen to us necessarily. We don't have that type of authority. I mean, the only thing I can suggest, more of a practical thing, not as a professional thing, is tell your bank, hey, if you're not going to help your customer here, I'm going to go to a different bank. Thank you, Bank of America. I'm going to Chase. Thank you, Chase. I'm going somewhere else. If they value you as a customer, they should hear you out. And I imagine that the fraud was not a huge sum of money, and it shouldn't really be that difficult for the bank to try to create it. But that's not me at the DA's office. That's me as Greg Pavlidis, how I would handle it.
So she also asks, is freezing card only for credit cards or debit cards too?
So I must have misspoke. So it's not freezing your cards, it's freezing your entire credit profile. So what you're doing is you're saying, I would be saying, Greg Pavlidis with this social security number and this date of birth can no longer take out loans, open up credit cards, do anything with my credit. What that does is it prevents bad guys who may obtain my information on the dark web from opening a credit card in my name, or for taking out a loan in my name, buying a car in my name. So it doesn't freeze your cards, it freezes your credit, your ability to gain new credit. And again, if there's an emergency, if suddenly I need a loan, I decide I want to buy a car, I can unfreeze that credit. It's called a thawing period. It used to be a few days. I think it's only 1 day now. So it doesn't freeze a card, it freezes your entire credit.
Yeah. So Nina asks a question about the Norton LifeLock. She asks to you, Cliff, if it's something she should look into.
So I mean, there's
or
very,
if it's important to do.
yeah, no, there's various forms of internet protection and online protection services. Norton is one. Just do your homework. Again, due diligence. You look into these things, get to see how long the company's been in business, get to see their success rate. There's numerous different avenues that you can take, but Norton is definitely one. I think that's the most prevalent right now.
Yes.
I would
do
also
have that one too.
I would also add that you should be aware that there are 3 credit reporting agencies. Under federal law, you are entitled to a copy of your credit report once a year, which means if you go to each agency, you can get your credit report once every 4 months. If you look at your credit report, you can be able to determine if anyone opened up an account. If you see a credit card account that you don't know about, so you could do LifeLock's job or Norton's job, it's probably easier to let them do it, but it's another alternative. If you want to save the monthly fee, you can actually be proactive and do that yourself.
And if I can add on to that, don't wait to be a victim. You get that free report, get it. Get it. If they're going to give it to you for free once a year or every 6 months, obtain it. And don't just get it just to say, okay, I got it. Go through it. Go through it thoroughly. I recently caught a case with a high-ranking official on my job who obtained a Department of Labor unemployment check. He contacted me. He's like, I don't know what this is about. During my interview, I determined that he recently ran his credit. I told him to look through his credit. He said, I didn't see anything. He looked through it again with a fine-tooth comb, and he noticed 2 addresses that he never lived at, one of them being a P.O. box. And that opened up a door for a whole scheme that we're now investigating. So again, due diligence.
Can I ask you a question? I'm just curious. If you pull these free credit reports, does it affect your credit? I
No.
heard that sometimes if you pull too many credit reports, somehow it affects your credit.
No, typically when you have your credit run for a loan information, if you want to buy a car, if you want to buy a house, open up a credit card, that's when it affects your credit. They take points off. But if you're getting an annual credit report for free, and there's some websites that you can go on, credit monitoring websites where you could do it for free and see it right there, and it doesn't affect your credit at all.
Yes. Okay.
By the way, while you were talking, Cliff, I got a phone call. I don't know if everyone could see it. A scam call.
Scam likely, right?
5 minutes ago.
Yeah. They do not stop. I don't think they go to sleep, actually. Okay, Eileen has a question. Let me read it, what she said. My husband has been contacted by letters from the NYS Department of Labor regarding an unemployment benefit he did not apply for. The letter stated that he did not need to contact them if he did not apply for benefit. So he didn't do anything. He got the letter stating that they will be processing a claim for benefits. The address and the name is correct, but the Social Security is not correct. He is going to contact the NYS Department of Labor. Should he do anything else? Thinking freezing his credit or anything else.
Well, good luck trying to get them on the phone. Almost impossible, almost like the I.R.S. I would suggest, and I investigate these cases all the time. I have a case right now that I'm doing. It's about $33 million in losses, all Department of Labor, people, exact same scheme, receiving benefits. A lot of these cards, they come preloaded. And when I say preloaded, it basically, person steals your identity, applies for unemployment, receives the unemployment, the card comes to you in the form of a key bank debit card. And then that card, depending on how much money, how good your credit is and how much money you should have obtained for that particular year, this individual, high-ranking individual on my job, $32,000 was available on that card, ready to be used. And it's very common. They go, they do cash outs. They can literally take out $32,000 from that card.
So I have a question. The card comes to your house or it goes to the person who did that?
Wherever the person has it mailed to. It depends. Now, sometimes, a lot of times what they're doing is, and this is big in Brooklyn right now, with the Postal Service, we have those green mailboxes that are on the street. They're called relay boxes. That is where the carriers exchange the mail. So a truck will come and drop off bags and bags of mail into that green relay box so that the carrier can now deliver it to your house. we have individuals coming and attacking those boxes, either breaking in or using a key to get in by a compromised employee, and they take those bags before they ever get to your house. We got hit in Brooklyn, 11 bags were taken on between Friday, when the last set of stimulus checks went out, to Monday. 11 bags containing unknown amount of checks.
I will also add that with the stimulus program, both the previous one and the current one, there has been an unprecedented amount of identity theft to apply for unemployment insurance. They were so inundated that they weren't doing their usual due diligence. And I know of a number of other DA's offices who had numerous employees who allegedly applied for unemployment insurance.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are individuals here as well. It's rampant. So if you get something in the mail from Department of Labor, it's probably because someone had applied for unemployment in your name. I would, if I were the woman's husband, I would run my credit report just to make sure that's all they've done.
Absolutely. And to answer her question, it is difficult to get them on the phone. You can go online onto the Department of Labor, New York State Department of Labor's website, and you can dispute it there. So don't pay attention to the letter, not saying you shouldn't do anything. Absolutely do something.
Okay. Mary has her wallet stolen, with her driver's license, her debit card, her Medicaid card. So she said, what should I do to avoid identity fraud?
Cliff, you want this one? Or you want me to take it?
So again, report it. If it was, whether it was stolen or lost, you could still report it to the police department, so that if someone does come in contact with it, they understand that it doesn't belong to the person who possesses it. They may get it back to her. As far as the identity theft aspect of it, if there were any PIN numbers or valuable information outside of your personal identification in the wallet, change those PIN numbers. You can obtain a new enhanced driver's license, which is very helpful. A lot of places soon you won't be able to travel without that.
Yeah.
A lot of places are accepting that. And run your credit. Don't be afraid to obtain that credit report. Look into your bank accounts. Make sure what's there is supposed to be there.
I also will add, and I don't think I'm mistaken about this, but Detective Spell will correct me if I am. I believe both Medicaid and Medicare cards, your number is your social security number. By law, you're not allowed to use social security numbers for any identifying info, but you can for Medicaid and Medicare, which means someone also has your social security number. So definitely do a credit check.
Presume that you're already a victim.
Yes.
Medicare just switched over to, not your social security number.
Good.
And thank God. But I just can't imagine how many social security numbers are out there, and these numbers don't change.
No.
So I have a quick question, if you don't mind. If you're subject to fraud with your social security number, can you get a new social security number?
No. In fact, we even have difficulty when we're doing witness protection on mob cases and other stuff, getting a new social security number for someone like that. They do not like to do it for a victim of identity theft. I've been a victim. I had my tax refund check sent to a PO box in Russia. You've been a victim. How many new numbers would they be giving out?
By the way, me too.
Yeah.
We all can
I froze my credit years ago. Yeah.
So for me, every time I have to do my tax return, they give me a personal PIN because somebody had been using it. I had used it before. So if I don't have that PIN, so I can't do my tax return. So it's extra, but I guess it's safer now because that PIN it's personal to me. So nobody else has it.
Until they steal it from one of the mailboxes Cliff was talking about. And then we're back to where we started.
Do not say that.
And I'm in the exact same position. So it just shows
Lord.
All of this is. It's just crazy.
Yeah. And I know in the past, Social Security Administration had done something similar to a credit lock where they would lock your Social Security so that obviously if there were any claims of Social Security or anything with related to Social Security, employment, things of that nature, they would lock it and then they would contact you either via email or alert and let you know that it's been being used or attempted to.
Yeah, one thing I want to just point out, because I know a lot of older adults or watching this video or participating in our events and stuff like that. So it's not only happening to older adults, it happens to anybody. So don't be scared to just speak up or just trying to look for help. It happens to all of us.
Absolutely.
So just want to make sure that don't feel like you've been fooled. I know this has been, don't be fooled. Don't feel like you're a fool because you has been scammed, but a lot of us, young, older, anybody can be.
Fraud has no age limit.
Exactly. Okay, let's see if we have any other question before we finish. So Nina asked another question. She said she was told that we don't need to shred junk mail, only bills within an account number. So do we need to shred junk mail?
I mean, there's no, other than your name and address on there, there's no pertinent information, but why not? It's what, 2 seconds to do.
So what I do, I just cut the part that has my name on it and I shred it and I just throw away the junk mail.
And that's fine. And that's fine. That's due diligence. You want to do as much as you possibly can to protect yourself.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Well, at the end of the presentation, we want to say thank you to all of you. That was very informative and important topics on today's. If any question, so one more, I know some people just log in late. So the presentation is recorded. It will be posted on our website in about 48 hours. So if you know somebody, and I know a lot of people are in need of this information, please share it. Just let them know to go to www.pss.org/resources. And I'm going to add it on there. PS. Yes. And you can see all past webinars and topic that might be interest to you. Again, thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure.
Thanks.
Have a great
Take
afternoon,
care,
everybody.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.